can. So I'm just going to double click on my icon, and it will take me to my login screen, which will already have my login credentials populated, and that's because I've had this keep me signed in button ticked. On here you can also change your password with this button here, and if you've forgotten your password you can use the forgot password button to request an email with it on. Let's sign in now, and it will take us straight to the main project screen. When it does sign in, just have a quick overview of the company. We've been in business in America for over 25 years, and about 7 or 8 years ago we came over to the United Kingdom, and since then we've amassed a catalogue with 245 manufacturers. Between those manufacturers there's over 129,000 products in the catalogue, so there's a lot for you to choose from. So just going to go over this project screen very briefly, and I'll come back to it in more detail later on. You've got your filters on the left hand side, and they'll filter the projects which are in the middle, and you've also got details on the right which will give you the details of whichever project you've got selected in the middle section. You've also got a few sections at the bottom that you can choose from. In today's tutorial we'll only go over the first three, the projects, the catalogue and the contacts. If you do need to know what the manufacturer settings, manufacturer history and admin settings do, be sure to join up to the advanced and the admin webinars for those, and we'll go over them in detail. You've also got a search box at the top which you can search for your project codes and projects, and a new button to create a new project. So let's click on this new one and just start a project up, and it will come up with this pop-up screen in which I'll be asked for a project name. So let's just think of a random site name, and let's add a customer in the box below. As you can see, Jill Cooper isn't actually a contact in my contact section, so it's saying contact not found. Press enter to add a contact, so I'll press the enter key, and it will come up with this add new person box in which I can enter all of her details, her address, her postcode and numbers and emails, etc. I can also append her to a company, but I'm just going to leave all that blank for now just to show you how it works. Press on the tick at the bottom and it'll add her as a customer to the quote. Once I've added all the customers that I want to add, I can press on the arrow to go to the spreadsheet and begin to work on the quote then. So this is the spreadsheet for projects. It's a bit like Excel in that when I start adding items to the quote, the cells here will get filled with different data, and you'll be able to amend them and type in them, overwrite as you wish. Just to show that, let's go into this bar at the top, which is the search bar for the catalogue, quick item search bar. Type in a model number of an item that I know, and as you can see it's dropped down the catalogue inside the quote, and I have got my results for that search. So what I'm going to do is just click on this top one, and as you see it's highlighted, and I've got three options then. I can either add it straight to the project, I can add it to the cart, or I can add it as an accessory. For this one I'm just going to add it straight to the project by clicking on project, and it will take me to the customization screen. In here it will give me all the accessories that are related to that item that I can put onto it. So say I want an Ethernet port and a probe, I'll just tick those, and once I've chosen all the accessories that I'd like on the item, I'll click on OK, and it will start to put it into the quote. When you first log into CaterQuotes, this quantity prompt will be turned on. So what it's basically doing is saying, do you want to change this item before it goes into the quote? If you don't want it to come up every time, you can click on the do not show again, and it will not show up from now on, from then on. I'll just click on the tick box to get past it, And there you go. My item is now in the quote, ready to be changed. Any of these cells I can just type over. So now that I've got that one item, so I just wanted to do a quick quote for that only, and I just want to print it off and send it now. I'll just go to the top left to the print button, and it will open it up into a report viewer. In this report viewer, you'll have your ready-made quote, how you'd like it to look. And I'll show you how to change those settings later, or in a little bit. So if you're ready to send off this quote, no, I'll show you that later, sorry. So basically this is just how it's set up, how you set it up, and it will show you the quote ready to send. For now, I'm going to go back to the quote and add a few more items so it looks a bit better. Let's go to the exit top left. And I'm going to search the catalogue again, but this time round we're going to go for a category and a manufacturer instead of a model number. And let's go, so combi is my category, combi oven, and the manufacturer, I'm just going to type half the name, and there you go, it's found all the combi ovens by that manufacturer. I can then scroll down and choose whichever one I'd like. If I don't want to scroll down through all these 4 pages to find the correct one, I can use the filter section on the left hand side. So I want a electric 1.1, and I want it to be a floor model. There you can see it's whittled down the search quite a lot now, making it easier for me to choose. So I'll just click on this second one and show you the details panel on the right hand side. Every item in the catalogue will have its own spec sheets or documents attached to it. Some will have spec sheets, some will have operations manuals, just images, and they're all found in this details section. From the top to the bottom, we can have, so from the top to the bottom in the details section, you've got the logo of the manufacturer. If you click that logo, it will take you to their website. You can copy out the specification using this little button here. You can access the documents that I was talking about here. Your CAD symbols will also be in this section as well. Or you can just see an overview of the pricing and dimensions, etc. of the item. So I've decided that this is the one that I want to add in now. I'll click on project again, add a few accessories, and press OK. And it will then get added as item number 2. Let's go for a brand search this time. So we'll go for the brand. And just to demonstrate the cart function, I'll add a few of these to my cart. As you'll see, both down the bottom left here and the top left, the cart is actually being built up with these items as they're being added. I can also remove and amend the quantities in here or at the top left, depending on which one's easier for you. And once I've chosen all the items that I want to add at the same time, I can click on add to project in the cart and it'll add all of them for me, just like that. So now that I've got all my items added in there, I'm ready to send off this quote. I just want to print it again first to make sure it looks all right. I'll go to the print and it will take me back to my screen. I've now got all them items on the quote. If I don't want to have a quote, I can use one of these other reports, such as a flyer. I can just click on flyer and it will instantly change it to that. I can also make purchase orders, spreadsheets, etc. Make sure that you try all these out and make sure that you're using them to their fullest extent, as a lot of people we meet seem to not know that they even exist. So be sure to know that they're there and try them out, see if they work for your company. Let's go back to the quote. And so this doesn't look quite right because we don't have the pictures of the items here. I can easily change that by going over to the right hand side where my print options are. These print options will customize how this looks. So let's find the thumbnails button. Here we go. Tick that and it will refresh instantly. And then when I scroll down, you'll then see that the pictures of the items are now in the quote. So go down all these, make sure they're exactly how you want them, and they'll get saved for your individual accounts, ready for every time that you print a quote. When I do scroll down, you'll see, or you'll notice that there are no page breaks, and that's because inside CaterQuotes, inside this report viewer, it's actually web view. If you do need to see what it will look like to your customer when you send it to them, you can click on the Open PDF at the top left, and it'll open it into a PDF in whichever PDF viewer you've got on your PC. Personally, I've got Adobe, so it's opened up Adobe for me, and I can then see, here's my page break. That's exactly where the quote will split. If I then close this and go back to my viewer, I'll just show you how to send it off once you're happy with it. All you have to do is click on this email here. You'll get two options, PDF and PDF with project. If you click on PDF, let's just see if I can make an email just to show you. Just while it does that, if you click on PDF, it will create a link which you can then send off to your customer. There it is. So when your customer gets this, they'll just click on View Leafy Grove quote. It'll open up into their web browser and they can then download it to wherever they like. Alternately, you can click on the PDF with project, and that will send both that link I just showed you, plus another link which they'll then be able to import into their CaterQuotes system to amend and then send back to you possibly. So easy enough to send. You can also print it out as well, straight to your printer. Let's come out of this, and we're happy with this quote. We've sent it off. We just want to save it. We'll go save and close, and you'll see that it will appear at the top of this projects list here because it's organized by the most recently modified date. So if I scroll down, these are all the projects that I've ever made, and I can just amend them as I wish. I can also filter down the list similar to the way that we did inside the catalog, and that's just by clicking on one of these filters. Let's go to customer, sorry, and let's go inside dealer test. So filter down to the customer dealer test company, and these are the quotes that I've made for that company. If I want to just cancel out of this, I can click on the X next to the search box, and I'll go back to my full list of projects. On the right hand side will be the details of the quote. So as I'm clicking down these, the details panel will change, and it will have the project name, the customer, the totals, the running totals of the quote, as well as a few other things which will be showed off in the advanced webinar if you join that. So I can just change any of these just by typing in them. So I want to change the project name to, say, Revision A. If I click off it, it will then refresh the whole screen, and that quote has now got Revision A in the title. I can also add another customer or a consultant. So if I type in just my colleague Paul, let's not update the pricing. You can see that I've now got two customers on that quote. I can make a quote separately for each of them. I can also change Paul to just be a consultant or one of these other choices on the drop down box. So that's how you change a customer. Oh, there you go. In the totals box, you can then add in your VAT. You can watch how your merchandise total will be totaling up as you start adding, or as you finish your quote. You can also have the details panel open inside a quote, which I'll show you shortly. So it's very useful to have that because you can see the total of all your items as you're adding items into the quote. But yeah, that's the details panel basically. So next thing to show is the My Settings at the bottom right. And the My Settings button is basically a portal into this little page here, which is your default settings for your account. There are admin settings for your whole company, but if you want to just change the defaults for your individual account, you can do it inside the My Settings button. So if I just go to pricing just to show you, I have got a default VAT in there, so every quote that I make will automatically have that put on as standard. I can also add a default greeting and a default footnote just by typing in the top box. There are also optional shared greetings that I can make, which don't necessarily come up on every quote, but I can, if I make it a shared greeting, I can then add it when I like, and I'll show you how to do that shortly too. As I said, you can make add a footnote as a default too. I haven't got any defaults for either of those at the moment, so they won't show up on any quotes. If I go to the project sharing button, say Sam Smith couldn't see any of my projects at the moment and I wanted him to see them. I did have them all ticked to begin with, so you have to bear with me with that. Anyway, if I wanted to show Sam Smith all my quotes, I wanted him to be able to see everything that I do, I just tick his button and I'll press the tick box, and then it will update on his system to show my quotes. So you can change who can see what you do. So that's the My Settings button. The next thing to go over will be the catalogue and the contact sections at the bottom. As I say, these other three will be in other webinars, so be sure to join those. If I go to the catalogue, you don't actually have to be inside a project to use the catalogue. You can just check prices just by typing in the model numbers or the manufacturers, brands, categories in here. Easy enough, just click on whichever one you want, check the details, the documents. There you go. Let's go to the contact section and show you what you can do in here. So in the first screen that you see when you go into the catalog, the contacts, sorry, this is like a list of the recent added contacts, rather than you having to search for ones that you've recently done quotes for. And also, if I where is she? There she is, Jill Cooper. If I click on her, you can see down the bottom all the quotes that I've made for her. So she was a new contact, and therefore she's only got that one quote on her at the moment. And I can open or print the quote from here instead of having to find it in the project section. So that's quite useful. I have also got a search box at the top if I'd like to search for her that way. And then I can edit her company or edit her address personally in here as well. Easy enough to do. Let's go back to the project screen and just go into a project and show you a couple of time-saving things, or a few time-saving things. To go in, we'll just double-click on Leafy Grove again, and it will take us back to our quote that we made. Let's say that I had chosen the wrong accessories on one of these items, so I've got way too many accessories on this SCC. I want to take off a few of these. I can just select it, I'll click configure. It will come up with that customization screen again, and I can just take off a few accessories and press configure at the bottom right, and it will amend that item without having to take it out and add it back in again. If for some reason one of your items is in the wrong place, so I want this rationale to actually be at the bottom, I can just select it and click on either the up or down key to move it up or down in the quote. Easy as that. So I'll move it down a few just to show that. And you can also move it up as well. The other way to change the location of an item would be to right click and cut and paste. If you want to copy an item and make a duplicate, you can copy and paste instead. I'll just show you the copy and paste. So I'll click copy item and then I'll right click anywhere else in the quote that I want it to go and go to paste, and then I've got two options, paste item or paste as accessory to another item. I'll click paste item and there we go. Easy enough. When I do right click, you'll notice there are quite a few options on there. The note and the comment are two that I want to go over. So the note is basically an accessory to an item in which you can put in things like price increase due next month, or just important things that the customer needs to know, because as a default the note will show up in bold, I believe it is, either bold or italics on the final quote, so it's very standout. The other option is to make a comment, but instead of being an accessory, you can actually add the comment as its own line item. I'll just demonstrate both of these now. If I click on note, oh, hang on, let me click on one of these. Yep. If I click on note and then put in price increase due next month and then click tick, you'll see it's now an accessory to the SCC item that I had selected. Alternately, if I click on comment and add it as, I don't know, let's just make it installation for the time being, it will be put in as item number 7 instead of an accessory. So yeah, that's what those do. Another couple of things that you may not see, may not notice without being told, is these little icons next to the column headers. And what these are just toggles for the columns. So if I say I wanted to work in margin instead of markup, I can click on this little arrow next to markup, change it to margin and back. If I wanted to lock the sale prices so I couldn't type in them by accident, I can click on the padlock to lock them. You've also got renumber by the item number column, spec wrap by the spec column, etc. So be sure to know that what each of those does, and use them whilst you're making quotes. Save you a bit of time. Let's go over the custom item button now at the top to show you what to do if there's an item that you want to quote but it's not in the catalogue. You'll click on the custom item. You'll type in a manufacturer's name that you want the item to be added to. So I'll choose CaterQuotes test. We'll add a model number, I don't know, fridge 2, and we'll add it to a catalogue. You can just have your own category that it goes to, or you can use one of our pre-made categories. That's what I'll do. So say I want it to be a fish refrigerator, and then I can add my specification to describe the item in this box here. And then I can go into the other tabs up here, add my pricing, my media. I'll just add a £200 list price. And if I go to media, I can then add a picture and a spec sheet for that. I'll leave that for now, and I'll go back to the project info. Once I'm happy with that item, I can then either add it to the quote without adding it to the catalogue and just have it as a one-off item. Or if it's an item that I'm going to use a lot, I'm going to have to keep remaking, I can add it to the catalogue, and that'll add it to my own personal section of the catalogue, and it'll be searchable by the model number that I've put up here. So if I tick that, press OK, I'll then, in all future quotes, I'll be able to use that Fridge 2 model if I need to. As I was talking about before, you do have a details panel inside the section, inside this spreadsheet. And to get that open, you can either click on this little arrow here to the right hand side, or the blue circle at the top with the eye in to show totals, and it will pop out on the right hand side of your screen. Looks very similar to the main project details panel, and it is in most ways, except for you've also got like an image and hotkeys panel. If I scroll down here, you can't actually see those because I've hidden them for this demonstration. If I wanted to see them, I can click on the edit button next to details, top right, and it will give me a list of possible panels that I can have inside this details. Click on project and hotkeys. If I want to move them up or down, I can using the up and down key. So you'll see in the background there, the item picture is actually moving up or down the up and down the details panel. So there's my picture and there's my hotkeys. So make sure that you've got all the ones that you need on there. The hotkeys is especially useful for quoting, so I advise using that. Last but not least is these sections down the bottom. So the spreadsheet is the one that you're working most of the time. If you've got a particularly large quote, you can click on Amplify Summary and you can amend the quote by manufacturer instead of by item. So I want to make all the combo items into a 40% discount and mark them up that much. I can do that by manufacturer instead of going through 30, 40 items for that manufacturer and doing it individually. So it's very useful. Another one to go over is the notes section. The purchase orders will be in one of the other webinars, so join those. As I showed you earlier, well, I didn't show you actually. I should have put in a default greeting and footnote and they would have showed up in these sections here. But for now, I've just got them blank. To show you what a greeting and footnote will look like, I can click on one of these pre-made shared footnotes just to show you. So I'll double click on each of those. So that's what my greeting will look like. That's what my footnote will look like. And when I'm ready to have a look at it again, I can then go back to the spreadsheet, print it, and there's my greeting, and there's my footnote. So that's pretty much a basic overview of the system. If you do have any questions, put them in the right-hand side of the screen in the chat box. You've also got a little help function here at the top of each spreadsheet. And if you click on Help Center, you'll get a box which you'll be able to type in a question to us, and that will come through to a system that we use, and we'll be able to respond via email. Alternately, you can call us or send us an email at tech@caterquotes.co.uk.